Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nurse Babe Britt, and today I'm going to be answering the burning question of, is nursing school hard? So if that is something that has been on your mind, then please stay tuned and listen for more. All right, so to answer the question, yes, nursing school is hard, but let me explain. It is hard because it is challenging. It is something that you're not used to. It is like no other. So that is what makes it hard. There are certain adjustments that you will have to make when you get into the nursing program that you did not have to do before. So for me, nursing school was very challenging. I won't say it was just the hardest thing ever. It's doable. People do it, but it was challenging. And that was because the exams, for one thing, was like no other exam I had ever taken before in my entire life. Entire life. Usually before, when I would take a test, if it's multiple choice, it's only one answer that is right. Unless it's like one of those ones that's like A and B or C and D or all of the above. But it was never that all of the answer choices are correct and you have to choose the one that is the most correct. In nursing school, that is exactly what it is like. You will have A, B, C, and D, and A, B, C, and D are just as well all correct answers. However, which is most correct, meaning which one is the priority right now? Which one needs to be addressed right now? That was a huge adjustment for me because it's like, well, I got the answer right. Why did I get the question wrong and get marked off and, all those things? Well, it's like, well, you have to think through it. You have to think through prioritization, things of that nature. My first exam in nursing school, it showed how much of an adjustment it was for me to take these tests. I don't even remember what the score was. It showed. And it whipped me into shape quickly. So that is something that makes nursing school hard. Now, you will hear people say that they could not do anything when they was in nursing school. They could not work. They could not, really see their family like that. They couldn't really, entertain a relationship or see friends or whatever. For me, okay, that was not the case. I did work while I was in nursing school the whole time. Now, when I got into nursing school, I dropped down from full-time to part-time, so I was not working as many hours. However, I did work while I was in nursing school. I never stopped, and I kind of transitioned into being a nurse. So when I got into nursing school, I was doing something different. I was in retail. And then after my first semester, when I started my second semester of nursing school, I started working as a tech in the hospital. And I just, really worked around my school schedule. So I was able to do it. I still saw my family. I was in a relationship at the time. So it was doable, but it was all about time management. I've mentioned that in one of my previous videos, so I won't really dive too much into it in this one. But time management is very, very critical and important in nursing school for you to succeed. And it really don't matter what you have on your plate. You still have to learn how to manage your time. Now, the next thing I would say is you do have to have a decent set of math skills. Now, you don't have to be a mathematician. That's not the expectation. But the basics, you do need to be proficient in the basics because you have dosage calculation tests that you have to take. And for the program that I was enrolled in, I did a BSN program. We had a dosage calculation test that we had to take in the first semester. It was pass or fail. You had to pass it. If you failed it, you got one more attempt at it. And if you failed the second attempt, then that was it for you. But also, dosage calculation questions were kind of factored into every exam. Like they might have one or two in there that were dosage calculation. You might hear med math. It's used interchangeably. It really refers to the same concept. And that honestly is a skill that you have to learn and that you need as a nurse. That's not something I say, oh, I just never used it again and I had to learn it. It was useless. No. And I'll give you an example. If a doctor was to say they wanted 1 gram of a certain medication to be delivered to the patient, and I go to the Pyxis and I pull out the medication that's only in milligrams, then quickly I need to know the conversion that, okay, well, they said 1 gram, but this says 1,000 milligrams. So, this is okay. Things of that nature. And that's pretty much what it is on a dosage calculation. In med math, it's like conversions and, reconstitution, problems, things of that nature. And so that is something that you need to be proficient with. And they will teach you and they will walk you through some of the things. Now, they're not going to spend like a whole lot of time on it because, like I said, a lot of it is really just basic math. But for at least my program, we had like a study guide and we had practice problems that we could practice before we took the exam. The next thing I would say is the skills checkoff. So that is something that basically they teach you a certain skill. An example would be how to inject insulin into a patient, or how to reconstitute medications, or how to do a manual blood pressure. Those are skills that they will teach you, and then you have to get checked off on it. And when they check you off on it, it's pretty much they're looking at you. They say, okay, well, do the skill, and they grade you. And it's a demonstration. And sometimes that can make people nervous, especially if you're someone who gets nervous when a lot of people are looking at you, because it's usually not one-on-one. It's probably in a group setting, especially now. It's probably in a group setting where you have maybe a few other students, in your group that are looking at you do the skill. Your instructor's looking at you doing the skill. And so that is something, and you'd have to pass it in order to continue on in the program. If that's another thing, if you fail, then usually you get another attempt after some remediation. And then if you still don't get it, then that's it. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's really how most of the programs are structured. Now, when it comes to courses, let's say you fail one course in your first semester, at least for the program that I attended, you had a second attempt. You could take the course again the next semester and try again. If you failed on the second attempt, then you were not able to continue on in the program at all. So you could not fail all your classes of the first semester. You could only fail one class and get one attempt. And that was for the whole program, like the whole program. And so that can be intimidating. And that could be, anxiety inducing as well. And those are things that, when people say nursing school is hard, a lot of times that is what they are referring to because of the stress that sometimes you feel when you realize, okay, if I don't do this, I've worked so hard to get into this nursing program, and if I fail this, then I won't even be able to continue in the nursing program. What I encourage you to do is to not think of it from that perspective. Only focus on whatever it is you need to learn. Focus on that. Focus on that. Don't think about failure, because when you think about that, you're going to psych yourself out. And so just focus on learning the task. Just focus on, getting better at it. If you need help, if you need extra practice, do all those things. But don't get caught up in what could happen if you get it wrong, because you already know that. You don't need to dwell on that. And that's my best advice as far as that goes. Now, as far as the exams, they do tailor it to mimic the NCLEX. So when you finish nursing school and you take the NCLEX, you're used to those style questions. Now, I won't dive too deep into NCLEX because I know it's different now. Like the current NCLEX is different now compared to when I took it. But the questions that I had in nursing school were structured the same way that they were structured on the exam. So that is something that is, built into the program to help you succeed once you take your board exam and all those things. The next thing I would say is excuses are not tolerated. They are not. So if you're somebody that's used to making excuses, no matter how good the excuse might be, just save it. Please just save it, because they don't want to hear it. They don't care. They don't. They just, and it's unfortunate because sometimes it might be a really good one, but they don't care because, nursing is a profession. We're professionals. And so when you are in nursing school, that is what they are teaching you to be, professionals. And in a professional world, a lot of times excuses aren't tolerated either. You might get one or two, but after a while, it's like, all right, wrap it up. And so don't come in with that mindset that you are going to be able to ease your way out of things or make excuses or procrastinate and all that stuff. Don't wait till the last minute to study. When you go home, study the content that you learn, because these are things that's going to make it easier on you. And these are things that made it easier on me. And I had to learn these things. Like I said, my first exam in nursing school, yeah. So I had to learn these things, and I had to learn them quickly. Like, okay, let me switch styles, because what I did before is not going to work here. So, don't wait till the last minute. Don't come with all these excuses, and be on time. That goes for being on time. Be punctual. That is very, very important. They do not like late students. They don't. Even if they show up late, they do not like late students. And, there are times where if you show up to clinicals late, I've seen it happen when I was in nursing school. Like, you show up to clinicals late, like, they will tell you, you have to make up the clinical. You cannot attend your clinical rotation that day. So if you're someone who's used to getting there just on time, like right on time, or just being like a few minutes late, it's not going to be tolerated. So just get out of that habit. And honestly, it's a good habit to be on time. And when I say to be on time, is to be early. Like, to be early is to be on time. And so just get used to being early, even if you have to sit in your car. Like, I still do that to this day. I learned in nursing school, I used to be that person who would get there just on time, or, maybe a few minutes late, depending on traffic. And one of my instructors had to pull me to the side one time, and they explained the importance of punctuality, and I was never late again. And even to this day, as a nurse, like, rarely am I ever late. Like, I don't even remember the last time I was late, because I still get to work a little early. I might sit in my car for a while before I go in, so that I can know I'm on time. And so that is something that is very important in nursing school. Now, time management, and I've talked about this in a previous video, so I won't dive too much into it, but time management is very important when you're in nursing school. That's really, depending on your time management skill, that's really what determines what you have time for. Like, you'll hear people say they didn't have time for anything, at all. But time management skills, developing good time management skills, it will work in your favor no matter what you have going on your plate. Now, I will say the first semester is usually the hardest, especially if you don't have any medical experience, any nursing experience or whatever. For me, I didn't have any experience whatsoever. Like, I didn't know medical terminology. I did not take a medical terminology class. It was not required as a prerequisite. So it was built into the course. So it was built into the program. And so I didn't know anything. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know anything. Like, QAM, I didn't know what that meant. Like, now it's like, it means every morning, but it's like, I didn't know all those acronyms. Like, I didn't know any of that. And so I had to learn that, and I had to, learn that kind of quickly, because when you take the exams, they are going to structure it in that way. And so you have to understand what they're talking about. And it's not hard, honestly. Medical terminology is not hard. It's just getting used to it. It's like, just an addition to the language that you already have. And after your first semester, you've already gone through the initial shock phase of, I'm in nursing school, and this is what the exams are like, and this is what the expectations are, and this is this, and this is that. As you go into your second semester and your third semester, and however long your program lasts, you will know what to expect. You will know what to expect, and it won't be as bad for you. Now, that's not to say it's going to be smooth sailing, because there are some classes that you might find more interesting and do better in than other classes. You might be someone who really loves psychiatry and, enjoy the psych portion of the program. But then you get to pediatrics, and you're like, I don't really like this. It's too much going on. It's too many stages of development. Like, I just don't like it. So you might have a harder time, or you might have to spend more time studying that content, because it doesn't really pique your interest as much as maybe psych did. So those are things to take into account as well. But, just make sure that you pace yourself, you be patient with yourself, and understand that as you get closer to the end, you will start to feel more comfortable, and you will, be ready to graduate. You'll be ready to take NCLEX. Now, that's a test. That's a big test, obviously. So that's something that might make you nervous. But like I said, the way the questions are structured on the test that you take in nursing school are designed to mimic the NCLEX. Trust me, your programs want you to pass the NCLEX. That reflects on them. If students aren't passing, that means something isn't being done right. And so, they structure it that way to set you up for success on your board exam. So don't stress about that. Don't even think about that or worry about that until you get closer to that time, like your last semester. And so I hope that kind of answers the question. I know I started out by saying, yes, nursing school is hard, but I had to explain to y'all what I mean by that. It is very doable. It is very, very, very doable. You just have to apply yourself. It does require certain sacrifices, and you have to be willing to just be patient with yourself. You're not going to get it right on the first time sometimes, and that's okay. You're not the only one. Even if your peers make it seem like they're just having the easiest time, there are people out there that are good at pretending, and so don't ever think that it's just you or that, it's not. But focus on your own success. Focus on what works for you and hone in on that, because when you take that exam, it's only you. It's only you. And so, that's just my take on it. And this comes from my personal experience when I went through nursing school. And like I said, I had zero experience. And I did not do well on my first exam, like at all. I was like, oh my God, if I don't make it out this program, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so, like, I've been there, but on the flip side of that, I graduated with honors, and I have soared ever since. And, I'm doing all these great things now. And so I say that to encourage you and to, inspire you to keep going and keep pushing. And don't be discouraged or don't be strayed away because someone says something is hard. Just replace that word with challenging and just put yourself up to the challenge. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions or is it something that I didn't cover or, whatever, please feel free to comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on so you can be the first to know when I post my next video. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.